A severe weather update from your Storm Team 9.
Hello everyone, Chief Meteorologist Eric Kincaid back here with you in the Storm Team 9 Alert Center alongside meteorologist Ashlyn Moore. It's about 2:10 Eastern time and we're joining you here on the live stream. This isn't something where we want to break over to the television side because again, we don't have any active warnings for our neck of the woods. These storms aren't severe by any measure, but we just want to alert you to what's going on out there on your Sunday as we've had this tornado watch in place. We've had a line of storms push through, in some cases some thunder, some lightning, especially down to our south, and we just want to keep a track on these things for you for the next little bit. So let's go ahead and start that. We'll show you what's going on right now. There's the radar view. Looking at the radar coming out of Montgomery, this is looking at the backside of that line of storms. So as you move up to the northern counties here, LaGrange back over to Greenville, you see some of those heavier showers that extends through parts of the Fountain City. The heaviest rain has already passed through Uptown. It's come through Midtown. Right now, the eastern side of Columbus, parts of Fort Benning, getting the line of storms as we speak. Further down to the south, the line hugs the Chattahoochee River near Fort Mitchell, down toward Omaha and Florence, and then Eufaula, and from there back down to the south and west. So the northern extent of this line moving a little bit faster, the southern end of the line lingering behind just a little bit. But as we said, no active warnings right now for at least our coverage area. Ashley, let's go ahead and pull up the watches if we can, and we'll show you the tornado watch that we have in place. The good news here is that tornado watch was canceled for the counties where that line has already pushed through. So Lee County not in it, Macon County, Bullitt County not in the watch. The counties that are, we've got Muskogee, we've got Russell, Barber, Quitman, Clay, Randolph, Stewart, Chattahoochee, Marion, Webster, Sly County, Sumter County, and then you've got Doherty, Lee, and Terrell counties underneath that tornado watch. That goes out till 7 p.m. Eastern time, but do know that the threat is not going to last that long. As soon as that line clears the area, your severe weather threat is going to be over for the day, and then we'll be turning our attention to something far, far different, the bitter cold that's going to build in as we get into early next week. Let's put those warnings on there now for you. So these are active warnings, either tornado or severe thunderstorm, and you'll notice for the Chattahoochee Valley, all is well. But let's take a look down to the south here. We've got this warning coming in just south of Eufaula. We'll show you that again. This is Dale and Henry counties in Alabama. So let's zoom the map down there a little bit for you and show you that warning right there. You see the white outline. That tells us that there's at least some rotation within that storm. So we're going to keep an eye on that for you. There could be, again, some gustier winds or at least the possibility of a small spin-up tornado. That's why the tornado watch still in place. And if that continues that motion, you get the idea that Clay County or maybe Randolph County could be next in line for this. Now, down to our south, this is where we have more energy available for these storms. That's why the severe weather concern, honestly, I think it's going to be south of Highway 82. So from Eufaula to Cuthbert to Dawson to Leesburg, anywhere south of there, I think that's where you're looking at the best chance at some damaging winds or a small spin-up tornado. I don't think there's much of a risk the further north that you go into our area. It's just too cool and too stable in those places. We just haven't been able to see that warm air really intrude today and warm things up, and it doesn't look like we're going to get a chance with the colder air that's blowing in from the west. Let's go back over to the radar view. Pull that up for you. I want to show you what's going on down to the south here. So down to the south, we've got some of those showers and storms. Here's the bigger picture, though. You can see that line, again, Meriwether County through Harris County, right through Columbus, down along the river to Eufaula. Let's stop the radar view, and then we'll zoom in down to the south and look at some places out ahead of this line that we're tracking for you. So Talbot County and Talbotton, if you're in Buena Vista, if you're in Lumpkin, if you're in Richland, if you're in Americus, Cuthbert, if you're in Morris, heads up. Again, you've got the line coming through next. And as always, we worry about little pockets here and there of those damaging wind gusts when you have a line of storms like this. Yes, there's no formal warnings out for anything, but just inside that line, there could be a few little places here and there where you get those gusty winds that could knock down some tree limbs or knock down a tree. That's always the issue with these lines of storms that we talk about. So once again, watching the southern extent of that line, that's the strongest part of it, stretching from right now near Casita. And you see that radar sweep going through. So the radar's updating. This is moving pretty fast. We're going to put a storm track on this for you in a minute, but from Casita back to just west of Lumpkin, stretching toward Morris there in Quitman County, just south of downtown Eufaula and into southern parts of Barber County. That's where the line of storms is now, pushing off to the east at about 40-45 miles per hour. Again, things moving pretty fast today. This is not going to be something where we have to deal with this for a long period of time. So the severe weather threat, by the way, already over for Lee County, Russell County, Macon, Bullock, Tallapoosa, Chambers, most of Harris County, Troup County. Severe weather threats over. And again, we didn't really have much of one anyway today in those areas. Again, our temperatures just way too cool to get severe weather going. But things are different down here to the south of us, that's for sure. We've got the warmer temperatures, a little more energy to get those storms going. So that's why we're watching down here to the south as we have a little better chance, a little more of those ingredients coming together for severe weather across this neck of the woods. Now we're putting a storm track on here for you. We'll click once there and pull that out, and as we stop it here, you can see some times of arrival for some of those cities out ahead of this thing. You got Lumpkin 2:19, Cuthbert 2:33, Ellaville 2:51, Americus by about 3 o'clock. I would say by about 3 or 3:30 this thing should be out of here anyway, and the threat will be over for just about everybody out there. But again, we always encourage you, don't take that as the gospel truth, the exact arrival. These storms sometimes can speed up, can slow down, so just use that as a guide. But once again, there's not a warning for this. There's not damage that we're warning you about. This is just when you're going to pick up some heavier rain as it stands now. But know, especially if you're down here from Lumpkin over to Americus and Point South, you're a little closer to those ingredients where you could get some of those stronger storms. You could get some of that severe weather potential in here. And remember, when we have a tornado watch that comes out, we encourage you to make sure you're in a position to get updated information when it comes to watches and when it comes to warnings. Now, again, we want to welcome everybody in that's watching us today. We're not on the television side of things on WTVM, but you, of course, are getting us in maybe several different ways, whether it's streaming, whether it's on a Roku device, Apple TV, whether you're watching us on YouTube, finding us over on social media, the website stream. We welcome you all that's watching. But the news that we're reporting to you today is good news. We don't have any major concerns, and that's what we have been talking about, by the way, for the last few days. We knew that, yes, we were going to have a storm threat today, but the air was going to be cool and stable for most of us, and the main concern, those far southern counties, and that's where we've been keeping a little closer eye on here over the last little bit, tracking that storm system out and letting you know some times of arrival out ahead of this thing. But these have come through with very little fanfare for most of us, but there has been a few pockets of damaging wind recorded with this back when the storms came through the Montgomery area. We're going to join meteorologist Ashlyn Moore in a little bit. She'll tell us a bit more about some of the reports coming in. But now our attention is really turning to what's going on when it comes to the cold weather that's going to blow in after all these storms move through. And it is worth mentioning that we've got some school closures and delays to tell you about here in just a little bit. But we want to make sure everybody is aware that tomorrow morning, all of this rain, if there's anything left out there on the roads, there could be some spots where that could freeze over, depending on how quickly the temperatures drop where you are, if those areas happen to be shaded. A lot of different factors go into play there. Remember, we're not able to forecast the road temperatures for you, but we can at least give the indication that where water is left on the roads, there might be a few trouble spots, especially those elevated surfaces early tomorrow morning. So that's looking ahead. I don't think it's going to be a big widespread problem. We're going to have some strong winds come in tonight that should help to get a lot of that water off the roads, but there's still just that concern that we've got for you. We want to watch it for you carefully here within the coming hours, especially as we get into the overnight and see those temperatures starting to fall off in a big way. So tell you what, one more time, we'll get this data off of here for you, and let's pull up those current warnings. I do want to look down to the south one more time and make sure those warnings haven't been extended back over to Clay or Quitman County. So as of now, no, but we have two big severe thunderstorm warnings on the very southern extent of that line, where again, energy levels are a bit higher to get these storms going. And I tell you what, with this view right here, let's go to the velocity view and see what we're looking at in terms of wind speeds within those storms. Remember what we look at here, and again, you can zoom back down to the south. There we go. So that's the radar right there coming out of Fort Novacell, and as we formerly Fort Rucker. And looking ahead, Doesn't appear to be any major trouble spots, but where you have the greens and the reds touching each other, sometimes where you get those, maybe one's bent in a little closer to the other one, that's where you have a bit of circulation that we need to watch. We need to keep our eye on. Nothing jumping out at me right now that's saying this is extreme or this is a big deal, but once again, down to the south is where we have to watch it mostly for you, because that's where those ingredients are coming together a bit more. So you have a lot of time. If you're in Clay County and you're out ahead of this, there's no formal warning for you now. There's no tornado warning in the first place with this thing, but there is that possibility. There is that circulation, and there's also that tornado watch in place. So we always encourage you, just make sure you're in a position where you can move to that safe place if you need to. If you're in Fort Gaines, if you're in Bluffton, if you're anywhere there in Clay County, or maybe even southern Randolph County. But look, this has some time before it gets over into your neck of the woods. That tornado watch still in place for a little bit until that line can pass you by. And in a new alert right now, looks like a special weather statement, Taylor County, Chattahoochee County, Webster County, and some others. So this is what the National Weather Service does out ahead of lines of storms. If it's not severe, if it's not damaging, they'll put out a statement and just say, hey, we're going to have some gusty winds when this thing comes through, or hey, we're going to have some heavy rain. We're going to have some downpours as this thing flies on by. So that's what we're looking at for those counties we told you about earlier, out ahead of this thing. Just some heavier rain. Every now and then you might hear a rumble of thunder, but there's really not a lot of energy to get even a lot of lightning going today. So don't count on hearing thunder and lightning as this thing comes through. And regardless of whether, again, you have a warning or not, the winds are going to be gusty as this storm system comes through. The winds are strong in the upper part of the atmosphere, and the winds are going to be very gusty once these storms clear the area and move on out. So that'll be something to consider. Hopefully you've got things secured outside, outdoor chairs or decorations or anything like that, because it is going to get quite breezy as these storms pass through and then after they move on out. All right, let's tell you what, let's get the radar view back up here for you. We'll get a big picture view, and we're going to go over to Ashland in the weather office here in just a little bit with some more information. But here's what we're looking at right now, that loop of the storms over the last hour or so, pushing on through fairly quickly, approaching Thomaston, approaching Talbotton, approaching Casita, approaching Lumpkin. So those are the cities next in line for this thing. And then once again, out ahead of that, be on alert to some strong gusty winds. But what we're looking at here is great. There's no active, severe, or damaging weather in the Chattahoochee Valley, just a lot of rain. It's going to be a rainy, dreary Sunday for about 99% of you. Every now and then we are going to watch for that possibility of a few pockets of stronger winds along the way. But we've got other things to tell you about too. We've got the cold that's coming in. We've got some schools that have made decisions on closures, delays, and that sort of thing. And we're going to turn it back over to meteorologist Ashlyn Moore in the weather office with more on that. Ashlyn.
Hey there, and yeah, the big story after this system today is the cold air settling in for Monday morning. And like Chief Meteorologist Derek Kincaid mentioned, we've already had some school closings released. I have that list right here. Central Talbotton Elementary High is virtual learning on Monday. Harris County High School is closed Monday. LaGrange Academy also closed. Marion County closed. Meriwether is also going for virtual learning. Troup County schools closed, and Waverly Hall Christian Academy is closed as well. So here's those low temperatures you can expect early tomorrow morning. 23 in LaGrange, 22 in Lafayette, 23 in Alexander City. So lower 20s up to our north, whereas our southern counties still in those upper 20s, low 30s even. So we will have 30 in Leesburg, 28 in Dawson, 27 in Cuthbert, 29 in Eufaula. And it's not just going to be a brief cool down. We're going to be cooler all week long. Those forecast low temperatures even getting below 20 degrees Tuesday morning, and those 20s are going to be carrying us through the rest of the week. So let's talk about Monday morning with those school closures. We'll have to watch for some slick roads possible with any leftover rain from tonight, refreezing, especially on bridges and overpasses, any shady areas. And then it's just going to be bitterly cold as we go through the rest of the work week with those low temperatures hanging around in the 20s, and breezy conditions will be making it feel even colder. But the good news about that wind is it should help to dry up any of that leftover rain from tonight, lowering that icy potential for early Monday morning. But I do think if we have those icy areas, it's going to mainly be for our northern counties. So gusty winds for your Monday, near 25-mile-per-hour wind gusts, then through the rest of the week staying breezy with wind gusts of over 10 miles per hour. So that's going to make it feel even colder. Here's a look at the temperatures and feels like temperatures for Tuesday morning. So we are all going to be feeling like we are in the single digits, and those low temperatures are going to be below 20 degrees. So you'll want to make sure the kids are bundling up. You'll also want to prepare for a hard freeze. That's when temperatures drop below 25 degrees. So what that means is you'll want to protect the pipes, leave the faucets dripping, and just check out those feels like temperatures. Single digits all across the Chattahoochee Valley, feeling like 9 degrees in LaGrange, 8 degrees in Columbus once we factor in the wind chill. So bitterly cold week ahead for us, and the high temperatures not going to do much to help us during the afternoon. I'll pull up those forecast highs for you throughout this week. We're going to be stuck in the 40s all throughout the work week. So tomorrow, high temperatures in the low 40s, and we'll be staying that way through the whole work week and into next weekend as well. The bitter cold. Now, if you're just joining us, I'm going to read off those school closings again, as those morning lows are going to be in the 20s all across the Chattahoochee Valley. We will have to watch for some potential, just a low potential, but still could have some icy roads with any leftover rain from tonight. So those school closures include Harris County High School, LaGrange Academy, Marion County Schools, Troup County Schools, Waverly Hall Christian Academy, and a couple of schools have shifted to virtual learning for Monday. So Central Talbotton Elementary High is virtual learning tomorrow, so is Meriwether County Schools. And a lot of those schools I listed are our northern counties. That's where it's going to be colder, and we'll have some more concerns for some icy potential with any of the leftover rain, especially in shady spots. So really frigid week ahead for us. Lows are going to be in the 20s all throughout the week. Tuesday morning, our coldest morning of the week, with temperatures falling below 20 degrees. And you'll want to prepare for a hard freeze not only Tuesday morning, but also Friday morning, maybe even Wednesday morning. A hard freeze is when those temperatures are at or below 25 degrees, and it looks like we will have multiple mornings ahead with a hard freeze. So go ahead and make those proper preparations of protecting your pipes and leaving the faucets dripping overnight Monday into Tuesday morning. Same thing for Tuesday night into Wednesday, and Thursday night into Friday. Now I'm going to go back over to the radar for you, and we can take a look at what's going on. Now, the severe threat very low for us today, but we still want to talk you through what's going on. We do have some areas under a tornado watch today. That watch is starting to has expired for some areas under it. Pulling that up for you right now. We are under that tornado watch in Muskogee County, but again, guys, very low end severe threat for us. Still keeping our eye on it for you. I think we have that here for you. Okay, so here are our tornado watches. Notice it has expired for Bullock County and Macon County, still under that watch in Muskogee County, Clay County, Webster County, Sumter County. And Chief Meteorologist Derek Kincaid has more for you with a quick check of the radar and full details on what's happening right now. Still seeing.
Yeah, Ashley, thanks. Here's what we got for you at the moment. Here's the big picture. I wanted to show you this too because, oh, my eyes, sorry, hang on a second. Again. There we go. Yeah, so the big picture right now for you, we've got storms rolling through again some of our southern counties, but look at what's going on right now across parts of North Georgia, right there around the Atlanta metro area. That's the cutoff between the rain and the freezing rain. And right now, heavy freezing rain is settling in across parts of northeast Georgia. As you head up Interstate 85 into South Carolina, that's going to be a corridor, I think, of big problems. And it already has been some pretty big problems across North Mississippi, western parts of Tennessee with that freezing rain. Some of the pictures coming in just absolutely wild. And we're going to try to share some of those with you throughout the course of our newscast tonight over on the television side of things. And next week on Weather Extra, by the way, that is a show that airs now daily at 6:30 right here on the stream. We're going to try to talk about some of the after effects from this big winter storm. But as we speak, conditions are deteriorating from Atlanta and points off to the east. east as temperatures there remain colder. They remain at the freezing mark or below, and once again freezing rain is settling in. On the southern extent of that, remember, we just didn't have any of those concerns. We were always watching our far northern and eastern counties, but we never thought this was going to be a big ice threat for the Chattahoochee Valley. As the data came in, you fine-tuned the forecast, and look, it was a rain event for just about everybody out there. New advisory coming in, flood advisory for Barber County. That's going to go out till 4:30 Central Time, so just wanted to show you that because, again, down here you're getting some really heavy rain. These storms to our south pretty heavy at the moment, but right now the severe threat remains limited. Now, I've got my phone pulled up here. I've got the Facebook questions on here, the chat pulled up here for you. So I'm going to just address some of these questions for you as they're coming in. Folks said, what about Americus? Any severe possibility? Look, you're in the tornado watch. You're out ahead of this thing. We still have to keep an eye on things, but we don't think the threat is really high, but we still want you to be on alert. School in Russell County. Is there a school in Russell County? Again, Ashlyn read off those. We've got those on our website too. So if you head over to WTVM.com, school closures, delays, everything that you want to know, everything that we have as of right now is over there for you. So something to check out there. Let's see what we got here. Will there be black ice tonight? Again, we talked a bit about that earlier. There's a possibility, sure. I don't think it's going to be a widespread possibility, and let me tell you why. Our temperatures over the last few days have remained mainly above freezing. We've had temperatures close to 60 the last day or two, but again, that has helped to warm the temperature, or warm the roads up, warm the bridges up, warm all that up. That's great news. Yes, we're getting the rain coming in now, but the winds are going to move in after this rain moves out. That'll help to dry things up a little bit. Whatever is left out there, there is at least some chance where we have those colder places, whether it's a bridge or an overpass or something like that. You could get some refreezing. You could get some patchy black ice. I don't think that's going to be a widespread problem. Again, we don't forecast what the schools are going to do or how they're going to go about their protocol. We're just telling you we don't expect widespread problems around here tomorrow for most of the Chattahoochee Valley. The further north that you go, sure, it gets a little bit colder, a little bit faster. But I don't see widespread problems. Not to say there won't be any problems. I think conditions or concerns would be isolated in nature and confined to elevated surfaces like bridges and overpasses when it comes to that sort of thing. How fast is the storm moving? All of this big line that you see moving east at about 45 miles per hour. So it's moving pretty quick. Once again, we think this is going to get out of here soon, maybe clearing the Americus area by about 3-ish or so. And then from there, pushing off further into parts of East and South Georgia. So the severe weather threat remains limited to mainly our far, far southern areas. If we had to say county names, I would say Quitman, Randolph, Clay, Terrell, Lee, Dougherty counties, the highest concern with severe or damaging weather or that potential for a spin-up tornado. I think that threat exists here and points way down to the south from there as you move into some of those places that just have a lot more energy going. Remember, around here today, we stayed in the 40s most of the day in Columbus. It was cool. It was stable. It was not tornado weather. You probably knew that if you stepped outside today. You had that feeling of, yeah, this is a wintertime feel to things. And that's because of that wedge that we talked about, that colder air that pushes in from the east and sometimes settles in across parts of North Georgia. And that influence can be felt even down here into our neck of the woods. Ashlyn, let's go back over to the local radar view and we'll zoom down to the south. I think I've got the Americus radar pulled up right here. Yeah, so this is our radar view out of Americus. And remember, this is data that's exclusive to us here at WTVM. This is a live radar that a company built out for us and plopped down here in Americus so we can see storms down here in a better way. When you look at these storms from all of those other radars, Peachtree City, parts of East Alabama down to the south, it's far away. It's harder to get a view of those storms. But with the radar view close by in Americus, we get a much better picture at how those storms look as they're moving on in. So that's the loop over the last hour or so. You can see storms approaching Buena Vista. They'll approach Richland here very soon. Weston, you're in line for these things next. Cuthbert, they're on the way down in your neck of the woods too. But one thing that you will also notice, a lack of a lot of lightning. You do see a few lightning strikes here and there, but this is not a system that has a ton of lightning with it, because this is not a system that's drawing on a lot of springtime or summertime energy for storms. Sometimes we can get that this time of year, but today is not one of those days. So not a lot of energy down here, but there's definitely a lot of winds that are changing speed and direction up above our heads. So that creates, again, that possibility of some stronger wind gusts as this thing starts to move through. I tell you what, let's stop the loop here. We'll zoom in a little bit for you. Actually, zoom out a little bit for you, I should say. So we'll stop the loop, zoom out a bit, and you can see right now the worst of the weather that's left moving through our neck of the woods, lined up right around Talbotton to just to the west of Buena Vista, and then bending back down into Stewart County. It looks like the worst of it has passed through Lumpkin already, and that goes back down to the south, the far northern corner of Randolph County. Cuthbert, you haven't made it through this yet, but this is all on the way. And when this comes through, once again, you're going to pick up these gustier winds. You may have heavy downpours briefly, and even some flood issues perhaps down to the south where that rain is really heavy. I do note that here at the station we've already picked up almost 3/4 of an inch of rain, with some more on the way. Now, we have a new severe thunderstorm warning I want to tell you about. Let's go over to the warnings and pop that up here for you. So a new severe thunderstorm warning that does include Clay County, and it includes southern parts of Randolph County. So the green you see there, that's the flood advisory we told you about in Barber County. This is a new severe thunderstorm warning. And the Weather Service down here in Tallahassee has a note of caution saying there, of course, is a tornado possibility because of the tornado watch that's in place, because of a little bit of spin here, but that's going to be a very brief, isolated kind of issue, if it's an issue at all. But all of Clay County right now under a severe thunderstorm warning. Southern Randolph County, south of the city of Cuthbert, under a severe thunderstorm warning. So let's pull the radar view up here, and we'll show you that view from, I believe, our radar down at Fort Rucker or Tallahassee. So we got to zoom down that way so we can see. So this is, again, right there, Fort Novacell, old Fort Rucker radar site. Can't really see much, and I tell you why we can't see much, because all the rain is falling right on top of that radar. So it's tough for it to get its beam out and get an idea of what's going on. Let's pull the velocity view up here for you. That should be something that we can see just if there's any winds that are turning around in that storm down here to the south. I don't see any major issues with that. Maybe farther down to the south down there, but yeah, not really something that we're concerned about right now, but we have to be on alert, especially down in Clay County, southern Randolph County. That's the next area in line for this, with a severe thunderstorm warning. Again, going back to some of our questions, getting in on the Facebook stream here. Any update on the potential of winter weather later in the week? Yes, so we're looking way ahead here for you. You might have seen on social media some of the buzz around all the snow that's going to fall in the area based on some of the computer models. Right now, that doesn't appear to be a possibility, which is pretty normal to see that showing up days and days and days in advance. Then as we get closer, that winter weather threat seems to go away, and that is usually the case around here. So right now, that's not in our forecast. In fact, I don't believe we have any rain in the forecast, or snow at all, for the upcoming weekend. It is going to be cold. There is a possibility of a storm system that could spin up in the Gulf, but that might be something that we are too far north for to pick up any winter type weather. We'll watch it for you. Let's see here. Any ice in Columbus, Georgia? Again, for those of you just kind of tuning in, we are monitoring that possibility. We are not going to have anything falling out of the sky ice-wise, but we are, again, meteorologists. We don't know what the exact road conditions are, the road temperatures are all across the Chattahoochee Valley. What we can tell you is that if there's water on the roads tonight, and our temperatures dip below the freezing mark and get down into the 20s as we expect them to do, there is a chance that that could freeze, that we could have some patches of black ice. Now, the winds are going to be strong, so that should help to dry up a lot of the roads as we take you through the next little bit. Once these showers move on out, once those winds really start to pick up, that will take care of probably most spots, but maybe not every spot. So if you have bridges, overpasses, elevated surfaces, they get colder faster. There's air that circulates underneath that can cool things down faster. So those are at least possibilities where we could have some black ice concerns. We'll watch that for you. I don't think it's a widespread kind of thing. And I know a lot of schools are making decisions and that sort of thing. I just don't think it's something that we really are expecting to be an issue everywhere, but we've got to watch it. That's for sure. Is there a tornado watch currently? Yes, there is down to the south. Let's pull up the watch, Ashlyn. We'll show that for you. Somebody else also asking about the tornado threat for America. So here's the tornado watch. I got to tell you right now, I think Muskogee County, I think the threat's 0. I think the same for Russell, Chattahoochee, Marion, Sly County. I think that threat is just about 0 when it comes to any sort of tornado. The main concern for me would be from Eufaula to Cuthbert to about Leesburg and points south. So I think the threat for Americus is very low. I think the threat in Stewart County, I think the threat in Webster County is very, very low. It's not really something we're super concerned about just because the temperatures down there have not really been conducive. The energy levels not really been conducive for tornadoes today, but it's farther south from there that we have that better chance at picking up some of that, again, possibility of the spin within the thunderstorms, the energy levels going up that you could combine to get a tornado. Looking ahead, we do have some cold weather. Just looking at our 9-day forecast, man, it is going to get so cold for us at times next week. Multiple mornings in the 20s, multiple days in the 40s. And we're going to have to talk a lot more about protecting your pipes and that sort of thing. Ashton went over some of that for you earlier here on the stream if you missed it, but we'll of course have a lot more of that over on the television side of things with our forecast a bit later tonight at 6 and at 11 too. All right, catching up here on the questions. And again, thank everybody for, if you're watching this on social media, you have that ability to fire off a question within the stream. That's a great way for us to be able to check this out. And again, you can view this stream in a lot of different ways, as we talked about. You got your Fire TV, your Roku app, Apple TV, our website stream, lots of different ways, the app even, to be able to get this information. And we are not right now, by the way, on WTVM. The conditions just, we don't think warrant that to interrupt programming right now. We just want to give folks that have the ability to check us out the ability to watch and the ability to see what's going on. Let's see. Again, that's about it with the questions that we had so far in the chat. So thank you guys for that, for chiming in and letting us know there. Let's see here. Checking out some more stuff behind the scenes for you. There is a tornado warning of note, by the way. That's down in the Florida Panhandle, so that's going to be, I'll tell you what, let's pull the warnings up and we'll go down south just in case anybody has any friends, family down to the south. I want to show you a tornado warning for the Florida Panhandle right there. That's a confirmed tornado. The Funiac Springs, that's maybe an area on the way to the beach. A lot of you probably know Highway 331 heading south that could get you down to the beach. That's something that we'll watch closely for you, but that is right now a confirmed tornado down here, and that's tracking off to the east. But this is the Florida Panhandle. This is not anything that's close to us. Should parallel I-10 here for a little bit. Let me look at that one a little closer too from another radar view. We don't have this one pulled up here in the office, but I got it here on my phone. So let me just pull that up for you real quick. So it looks like, yeah, there was a little circulation down there. So at least briefly, perhaps, confirmed tornado down in the Florida Panhandle. And that's where I thought the big threat would be today anyway, down here to the south of us. So we'll watch it. Again, not in our coverage area, not heading this way anytime soon. So that's the good news. So we'll zoom the view back out. Let's get those warnings back up here for you one more time. A couple of severe thunderstorm warnings still in place for Clay County, for southern parts of Randolph County. That's going to be south of the city of Cuthbert. And actually, I'll tell you what, let's get that little question mark on here and we'll see what the expiration time is on those warnings here for for Clay and for southern Russell County. So that goes out till 3:30 Eastern time, about another 45 minutes or so. And again, you see tornado possible on there. That's what this white outline means. That's just the Weather Service saying, hey, there's some spin down here. There's a tornado watch in place. We're going to keep an eye on it. Doesn't mean that anything is imminent, but just something that we have an eye on. This warning that you see right here, that's a flood advisory. That's for Barber County. That includes Eufaula, it includes Clio and Texasville and Blue Springs, and I believe the town of Clayton, and that goes out till 4:30 Central Time, I believe, so 5:30 Eastern Time, and that's because you've picked up a good amount of rain down there. In fact, Ashlyn, I think we've got the estimated rain in that palette too. If you find that, we can click on that and see what those rainfall totals look like. But we've had some pretty heavy rain as this area of stormy weather has passed on through. It may take just a second too for that to pull up for us. There you go. So where you see the shades of pink and purple there, that's 2 to 3 inches of rain, and that's in a pretty short amount of time too. So that was west of Eufaula, down near Clio, pretty good area, some heavy rain there. Widespread totals of more than an inch or so across that area. So once again, some really heavy rain in place with that system down to the south. Now let's get a bigger picture. We'll show you those other rainfall totals out there too. We'll zoom things out and show you that big picture when it comes to totals. But we've had some places again approaching 1 inch of rain so far today with this system that has passed on through. Let's see, getting another update. That's another meeting coming up at 3. So we'll not worry about that now. But again, lots of rain across the Chattahoochee Valley today. There we go. So we'll maybe throw those rainfall totals back up here for you, and we can get that bigger picture view. There we go. And just leave it right here for a second. It'll populate just a second. So many places, again, picking up some good rain today with the system. The heavier totals have been down to the south. That's where we've had storms. That's where we've had more lightning, thunder, more energies we've been talking about. So that's why the totals down here have been a little bit higher south of Pittsview and Glenville there on Highway 431. Heading down toward Eufaula, that's where you run into those pockets of 1 to 2 inch rainfall totals. And don't forget, there's a lot more on the way out ahead of this. But for most of us, totals have been between about a ½ inch and an inch as this system has moved on through so far. But remember, there's some more rain on the way as this thing passes on through. Some good news on the tornado watch. So let's pull up the tornado watch for you. That's been canceled for some of our counties again too. So now Russell County out of the tornado watch, Barber County out of the tornado watch. Also Muskogee and Chattahoochee counties have been cleared from that tornado watch. So just reinforcing what we've been telling you, the storm system or the severe weather threat is over when that line of showers passes you by. You're done with it. So it really only lingers for some of our southern counties down here for a little bit longer. So that's the good news that we've got for you. All right, looking at some more stuff coming in. You may have gotten an update on the WTVM weather app, by the way, that says a tornado watch was issued for your location. That's actually an update on that watch where it has taken Muskogee County out of it. So it came through that way on the app, but that's a new update. So we're out of the tornado watch. No concerns in Columbus anymore. Casita, Fort Benning, all is well right now when it comes to that situation. Russell County, Barber County, though, a heads up for you. And once again, out ahead of this, we're still watching, but I think that threat even here is really low based on what we're seeing. And Ashley can talk a little bit more about that in a little bit with those temperatures. Down here to the far south, that's where those energy levels a little bit higher for those storms to get going. If you got any friends or family up in North Georgia today, remember it's a completely different kind of weather story that they're dealing with. It's the ice situation, and those threats now really increasing. The ice storm is just beginning across parts of northeast Georgia as all that rain pushes over in that direction. So a totally separate issue up there. If you got travel plans to take you north to Atlanta or north and east into the Peach State, you're certainly going to want to watch for updates up there because conditions are going to deteriorate very quickly here in the coming hours and may last that way for a little while. Remember, it's going to stay below freezing up there for a while, and we're not going to be talking about a quick fix from the ice event that's unfolding up to the north and east of us. All right, let's pull up the radar view for you one more time, and we're going to go over to Ashland in the weather office here in just a little bit, but we'll leave you with a radar view here, and there you see that this is perfect. Radar view out of Americus, still tracking what's left of that line of storms through Buena Vista right now, down to the south through about Weston. So this has already passed through Richland, and then that's about to move through Cuthbert right now. That's kind of at the southern extent of the radar view that we can get you. But if you're in Ellaville, if you're in Pobiddy Crossroads, if you're in Friendship, if you're in Plains, a heads up, you're next for this line of heavy rain to push on through. You'll notice not much lightning. There's like one lightning strike there, a few lingering ones down to the south and west, but there's just not the ingredients for a lot of lightning. This is going to be mainly showers. Don't expect to hear rumbles of thunder and see flashes of lightning as this thing passes you by. But the Highway 19 corridor coming up next. So Butler to Ellaville to Americus to Leesburg, next in line for this as it moves on through. And we told you earlier that arrival time in Americus, I believe, was a little after 3 p.m. Eastern time. That's going to be pretty close. So that storm track that we put up here for you, working out pretty good in terms of that time of arrival. So that view that we showed you earlier. And we also pushed out an update on the WTVM weather app earlier too. If you don't have the app, what a great thing to have to stay ahead of these things, right? Getting those push alerts from us here in the weather office before bad weather happens, crucial for sure. And we're putting another storm track on here for you too. You can see some times of arrival. Americus 307, Ellaville, just within about maybe 6-7 minutes or so. And then as you get toward Montezuma there in Macon County, 3:17 Eastern time, that's just outside of our coverage area. So hopefully by about 3:30 or so, we can be done with this thing. This thing can be moving on and we won't have any additional concerns. But to my knowledge, no damage reports from the Chattahoochee Valley. No trees down, nothing like that. We've had some flooding concerns here and there with some folks, but that has been about it. I'm going to go back over to our Facebook stream and see if we've got anything else going on question-wise. Very heavy rain earlier in 5 Points up in Marion County. Wind blew hard, only lasted a couple of minutes. Thanks for the update. So yeah, that's the kind of thing that we're looking at. Things that aren't going to last for very long. How fast is the wind going to be today? Any worries of trees coming down? The winds may gust now anywhere between, we'll say 20 and 35 miles per hour as these storms move out even. So a little bit later on, you might even have some gusts near 40 miles per hour. So that could knock down some limbs or knock down a tree. We, of course, we don't know the health of every tree in the coverage area. We don't know what that kind of wind could do to a dead tree, to a tree that has roots that are in wet ground. So that is certainly a possibility, but we don't think it's going to be anything, again, widespread, anything that we've got to be really alarmed about. But we just, of course, going to watch whenever we've got the strong winds coming through. New severe thunderstorm warning out now. This is for Randolph County and Clay County. Let's take you down there and show you the new warning. So this is probably an extension. Yeah, there you go. So a new severe thunderstorm warning here, and that is for parts of Clay, but honestly, mostly Randolph County. This one does include the city of Cuthbert. It does include Shellman. It includes Terrell County. It includes parts of Lee County, including Leesburg right there. So that's a new severe thunderstorm warning. You still see the white outline. There's still, again, the possibility there could be some circulation with this. We don't think that is an imminent kind of thing. But it also looks like there's a new tornado warning down to our south too, but that's not in our coverage area either. So that includes areas south of Dothan in southeast Alabama. I'm going to take a closer look in at this particular severe thunderstorm warning here. And yeah, nothing that jumps out at me of major concern. But I tell you what, if you're in Cuthbert, if you're in Shellman out ahead of this, you're in line for some strong winds. And when we say strong winds, we mean pockets of gusty winds. It's not going to be 60-mile-an-hour winds all within this box. That's not how this works, right? There's going to be little pockets here and there where you could get those winds gusting enough to knock down some trees or cause some damage. But overall, that risk is not going to be that high for everybody. Still the same story here in parts of Clay County, southern Randolph County, as that line continues to inch on through. Tell you what, let's zoom a little bit out, and I want to show you down to the south that new tornado warning. This is just on the Alabama-Florida state line right there. That's the city of Dothan, and a lot of folks, again, take this path down to the beach, head down 431. You hit the circle there at Dothan, then you keep going south on 231. But that is a new tornado warning. If you have friends, family down here, you know anybody that happens to be traveling, make sure they've got a heads up on this. We've been talking so much about this winter weather threat. It was really about the middle of last week when it started to become clear that, hey, we could have a storm threat on the southern extent of all this. So that's what we're watching for you now. This is outside of the WTVM coverage area. That's the city of Dothan down here in Houston County, Alabama. But that is a tornado warning on the Alabama-Florida state line right there. That right here is the Alabama-Florida state line as you head down toward Campbellton. That's one of those first towns you run into on the way to the beach, down 431 or 331 in that case. So new tornado warning, not heading our way. Not something we're concerned about for our interest here in the Chattahoochee Valley. All right, we'll zoom it back out. We'll get those warnings up here for you. Once again, going to get to Ashland here in the weather office in just a bit with an update on those temperatures, on the cold weather that's on the way. And we certainly have a lot of it on the way. So you see a few of those tornado warnings to the south, but around here, the news is a lot better in the Chattahoochee Valley. So I'll tell you what, let's pull the radar view up for you one more time, and then we'll send it back over to Ashland in the weather office. So pull the radar view up. Again, view out of Americus, tracking that for you Ellaville heads up for you. Americus heads up. Plains, Friendship. Looks like Andersonville a heads up for you. But that's the line of showers and storms that we have our eye on. We say storms just every now and then. Some rumbles of thunder, some flashes of lightning in there. But that's what we're watching for you now, moving through those eastern sections of the coverage area. But Ashlyn's going to have a lot more on the temperatures outside, what to expect as we get you set for the next little bit. Ashlyn, whenever you are ready, we'll get you up here in the office. But that's what we're watching for you now in the southern part of our coverage area. You do see a little bit of lightning here and there scattered around. That's not, again, a huge concern for us. You're going to get a little bit of lightning with this. It's not going to be like a big springtime type storm, however, where you have just constant lightning, constant thunder. These storms not having a lot of energy to work with today, so therefore we just don't have as big of a problem when it comes to thunder and lightning and that sort of thing. But news is so far so good around here, but looking ahead, we know, of course, things are going to change. Things are going to get a lot colder, and meteorologist Ashlyn Moore is going to talk a bit more about that for us.
Hi there, and just like you mentioned, not a whole lot of energy for these storms to become too severe for most of us today. Pretty cold winter-like day, but notice to our south where we do have the higher threat, temperatures are in the upper 60s. We also have the moisture in place right now. Here are those dew points, drier air to our north, and then much more moisture-rich air to our south, which is where we're seeing that higher severe threat. But then we're in for some big changes already all across the United States under winter alerts. However, the Chattahoochee Valley not under those winter alerts. We just have our eyes mainly on the severe storms possible today. But just outside of some of our northern counties, there is that winter advisory, which has led to some school closings being issued for the potential of some icy roads Monday morning with any leftover rain from tonight refreezing. Also notice Atlanta is under an ice storm warning. Maybe some of you have family or friends over there. Make sure that they're staying off of the roads and staying as warm as they can. But for Monday morning, lows in the Chattahoochee Valley, we're going to be turning much colder. Today, temperatures are in the 60s for some of us, but by tomorrow morning, that cold air pushes in and we will all be waking up to lows in the 20s. Our northern counties especially cold in the lower 20s, 23 in LaGrange, 22 in Lafayette, 23 in Thomaston, some upper 20s to our south, 27 in Fort Gaines, 28 in Richland, and even 30 in Leesburg. But I mentioned those school closings. We actually just had a couple more added to that list. Now Chambers Academy is a part of that list, shifting to virtual for Monday. And Chattahoochee County Schools has also been added to the list of school closures. Now I'll go through that list again just in case you missed it earlier. So virtual learning for Central Talbotton Elementary High, virtual learning for Meriwether County Schools, and then here's the list of schools that have fully closed: Harris County High School, LaGrange Academy, Marion County Schools, Troup County Schools, and Waverly Hall Christian Academy. So a lot of those schools in our northern counties, again, that's where we are not under any winter alerts, but those northern counties are closer to the winter advisory. However, it has pushed away. When we were looking at it last night, that winter advisory was a little bit closer to some of our northern counties, but now it has shifted a little bit. So again, very low icy potential, but we will especially have to watch for shaded areas, places like bridges and overpasses where we could get some ice early tomorrow morning with any of the leftover rain. However, we are going to be really windy, which is that wind should help to dry things out. We'll have wind gusts of up close to 25 miles per hour Monday. And then we're going to be staying breezy throughout the work week. So that's going to make it feel even colder. By Tuesday morning, feels like temperatures are going to be in the single digits all across the Chattahoochee Valley. Those low temperatures are going to be dropping below 20 degrees. And look at LaGrange, feeling like 9 degrees Tuesday morning, feeling like 8 degrees in Thomaston. So the bitter cold is on the way this week, and it's not just going to be a brief cool down. It's going to be with us all week long. So that cold air will be remaining the case, carrying us through the work week. Here are your low temperatures for the rest of the week, staying in the 20s, and you will want to make sure you're making the preparations for multiple hard freezes this week, especially Tuesday morning, Friday morning, and probably Wednesday morning too. A hard freeze is when temperatures are at or below 25 degrees. So as a reminder, here's how you make those preparations for the cold weather. A hard freeze means you'll want to make sure you're protecting the pipes, so cover them up. It's also a good idea to leave the cabinets open and expose them to some warmer air from inside. So hopefully the pets and plants have already been brought inside, and a good idea to leave the faucets dripping as well. And then our high temperatures are not going to be much warmer. Here are your forecast highs for the week. We are going to be stuck in the 40s. So again, a cold stretch of days. It's not just going to be one of those quick cold snaps. We're going to be stuck in the 20s for lows and 40s for highs all throughout the work week. Tomorrow's highs are going to be in the low 40s. So a big change from what we have around today. Here are the current temperatures across the Chattahoochee Valley, just to put that into perspective for you for how cold we'll be turning. 69 in Albany right now, 62 in Clio, but by tomorrow much colder air will be settling in, and we are only going to have our high temperatures in the 40s. So really cold stretch of days ahead. And I'm going to shift over to the radar and give you guys an update on that in just a minute. We do have some tornado watches in place, and the good news is the watch has expired for some of us already, and we're going to see these storms moving in and out of here pretty quickly. I'm going to switch to that radar view for you, and those storms have been pushing in from our west, and now they are. Let's take you over to our Americas radar. I'm going to pull that up for you. So some key ingredients for severe weather. We need moisture and warm temperatures. So our southern counties are getting more of that with some moisture coming in from the Gulf. So that's where we are seeing that higher risk of severe weather, but even then just a low end risk, and we are keeping our eyes on it for you. Finding that for you right now. Okay. Show you those wind gusts. So with the severe threat we have today, could have some localized damaging wind gusts, and tomorrow those gusty winds are going to continue. Today, those main concerns being gusty winds, pockets of heavy rain. Let's pull up the radar for you. Severe weather. Workspace. Okay. If we could switch over to Max 1, that would be awesome to show you those graphics. Perfect. Thank you so much. This is a view of our radar out of Americas. That's where that line of storms is moving through right now, through Sumter County, some pockets of heavy rain, but get a closer check at that for you. Here are those watches for you. So the Storm Prediction Center did issue a level 2 out of 5 threat for our southern counties today, and that is where we are seeing the storms moving through right now. And if we could get a check of the radar again. So a lot of areas on the other side of that line of storms we see all in the clear now. We could get in on some more rain later, but not going to be any severe threat. If that line of storms we see on the radar has moved past, then you're in the clear, but we do still have watches in place for some of our other counties. If we could pull up those tornado watches again. So Clay County, Sumter County, Lee County, Dougherty County, Webster County, still watching for you. But again, just a very low end severe threat for us today. And then if we could look at, we'll take you over to some of the warnings. We do have some warnings to our south. Again, none of the tornado warnings are not in our viewing area, but if we could take it down south a little bit, just in case anyone has family or friends, a little more down south for you. We'll take you over and zoom in on that tornado warning. Let's see, I think if we could zoom in a little bit closer there. Okay, so if you have family or friends just south of Dothan, a tornado warning is in place. So we are, again, none of these warnings are in place across our viewing area. Just watches for us right now that we are continuing to monitor for you. And then again, the big story we'll be focusing on once this system pushes out tonight, we are going to have a big cold snap. So I will again read off that list of school closings for you. Some have shifted to virtual learning options. We have Central Talbotton Elementary High virtual learning Monday. Meriwether County Schools also virtual learning. Some schools have fully closed. Harris County High School, LaGrange Academy, Marion County Schools, Troup County Schools, Waverly Hall Christian Academy, and Chambers Academy has also shifted to virtual learning. So if we could pull up those winter weather alerts across the United States, and then after that we'll give you a closer look. The Chattahoochee Valley not under any winter weather alerts, but we do have a winter advisory just outside of the Chattahoochee Valley. But again, it's a very low icy potential for us. We'll just have to watch for some slick spots possible on the roads, especially shaded areas, and bridges and overpasses could ice more easily. So a lot of those counties that have closed schools are our northern counties that are closer to that winter advisory. But again, no winter weather alerts for us, but we are just going to be dealing with the bitter cold as we look ahead to the work week. We'll pull up those lows for Monday morning. All across the Chattahoochee Valley, we are going to be in the 20s tomorrow morning. So although some of us in the 60s today, we're in for a big cold snap, that's going to be sticking with us all week long. Lows in the 20s, highs only in the 40s. So again, very low chance of some icy potential for Monday morning. Chances of that are very low, but tomorrow morning, lows in the low 20s for our northern counties, upper 20s for our southern counties. We'll have 23 in LaGrange and Thomaston, 27 in Cuthbert, 28 in Dawson, 29 in Albany, and then we're going to have gusty winds continuing tomorrow. So even today with some of these isolated, stronger storms, some damaging wind gusts are possible, but that threat of severe weather, the tornado watches are only until 7 p.m. Eastern time. A lot of us have already been cleared from them. But still, some gusty winds are going to continue into Monday as well, making it even colder. Here are those feels like temperatures for you by Tuesday morning. We are going to be feeling like we're in the single digits all across the Chattahoochee Valley, as lows are going to be below 20 degrees Tuesday morning. So we're starting out the week on a cold note. We will be turning even colder on Tuesday, and you will want to make sure you're preparing for a hard freeze, as temperatures will be falling below 25 degrees Tuesday morning, Friday morning, and probably Wednesday as well. Now, there has been, you've probably seen it, lots of talk about another winter weather system next weekend, but way too far out to make any calls about that. Some of the models just a few days ago were showing the potential for that, and then just yesterday, those models were showing that we were dry. So that is very normal for those models to change way too soon to make any calls about winter weather next weekend. But what we do know for sure is that we're going to be very cold all throughout the week, with lows in the 20s, highs in the 40s. And we are going to turn it over to the radar, see a check of where those storms are at now. If we could pull up the radar. Okay, so still that line of storms moving through Sumter County right now. Some pockets of heavy rain. We can see those red areas, but looks like those storms are pushing out of the Chattahoochee Valley pretty quickly. So I think for a lot of us, this threat has already ended for a lot of us, and pretty soon here, I think we will be in the all clear. But again, still some tornado watches are in place, keeping an eye on things for you. If we could check we'll check the velocity. Oh, here are those watches for you. So again, those watches have expired for a lot of us already. Sumter County still under a watch, Dougherty, Lee County, Clay County, and just the eastern parts of Barber County. Most of Barber County already in the clear. And again, those watches are mostly staying to our south. That's where we have more moisture in place and warmer temperatures, both providing more energy for stronger storms. But even today, we don't have a whole lot of energy to fuel these storms. You probably noticed it stepping outside today. Feels more like a winter day. We don't have that kind of energy that we get for the storms in the spring and summertime. But still, we do have some areas of heavy rain, damaging wind gusts possible. I'm going to go ahead and check the NWS chat for you, see if we are getting any new reports. Let's see. So again, biggest concern still remains in Florida and far southeast Alabama. So for us, still can't rule out the possibility of a very brief weak tornado in any of those areas that are under watches. That the watch means that we have the necessary ingredients present. But again, chances are very low, just a low end severe threat for us today. I think main concerns being some pockets of heavy rain and damaging wind gusts. But this threat has already ended in a lot of places across the Chattahoochee Valley, and looks like those storms are continuing to push on out of here, moving from west to east. Check some more, see if we're getting any more reports here. So in Montgomery, getting in pictures of some trees that are down. So these storms were stronger as they were moving through places closer to Birmingham, but for us, a lot of us already clear from the threat for severe weather, but we are getting in pictures out of Montgomery of some trees down today. Those were sent in just about 10 minutes ago. And if you have any family and friends in Atlanta, of course, the winter alerts all across the United States are a concern. Reports of moderate to heavy sleet falling Highway 29 north at Clark Circle, Madison County. Heavy sleet in Athens also reported. If we could pull up those winter weather alerts, that would be great. For us, no winter weather is a concern in the Chattahoochee Valley, but there are alerts all across the United States. Maybe you want to check in for your family and friends. Atlanta under an ice storm warning, and the closest to us is a winter advisory, but that has moved away. Just last night, it was close to some of our northern counties, but now it has pushed out. So still watching for some icy potential with any leftover rain tonight, refreezing early Monday morning. And we do have some school closures. I'll read those off again just in case you missed them. Central Talbotton Elementary High, virtual learning tomorrow. Same with Meriwether County Schools, also virtual learning. And virtual learning for Chambers Academy as well. Now here is the list of schools that have fully closed. Harris County High School, LaGrange Academy, Marion County Schools, Troup County Schools, Waverly Hall Christian Academy, and Chattahoochee County Schools. So be careful if you do have to be on the roads early tomorrow morning, especially if you're in our northern counties. But the overall concern, I think, very low. We'll just have to watch for a few slick spots, especially in shaded areas or bridges and overpasses. But then the big story for us this work week, after we get through today's storms, which again, that is already almost out of here. After that, we are going to be watching for the much colder air that settles in behind. So those forecast lows for your Monday morning going to be in the 20s all across the Chattahoochee Valley, and highs only going to be in the 40s all throughout the week. Chief Meteorologist Derek Kincaid will be here in just a minute with an update on the storms that are now pushing out of the Chattahoochee Valley, but still some of us under tornado watches. So we're keeping an eye on things for you, and Chief Meteorologist Derek Kincaid will have an update for you with the radar. And we will go ahead and pull up the radar for you. Okay, so still seeing that line of storms moving through Sumter County. Looks like a lot of the rain is more so just moderate now, not seeing as much heavy rain anymore. And then I'm going to turn it over to Chief Meteorologist Derek Kincaid for a closer look at things for you.
Yeah, Ashlyn, thanks so much out here tonight. Again, keeping track of these storms for you. The reason why you're seeing what you're looking at here, the rain very heavy in America, is right there around the radar site, so it's not able to really get as good of a view as we could a little while ago. So if we click on that streaming radar there on the right, we can actually turn that radar off. We'll show you the different perspective, a different point of view here, and that's what we're looking at. Big picture view right now. And by the way, it's about 3:15 Eastern time. If you're just now joining the stream, if you've joined within the last little bit, I'm Chief Meteorologist Derek Kincaid alongside Ashlyn Moore here in the Storm Team 9 Alert Center. We have not felt like this is one of those situations where we had to get over to television and start warning people about what was going on. It's been mainly rain for a lot of us. Some pockets of heavy rain. We've had some pockets of gusty winds, but so far so good around here with no major concerns with damage or trees down or limbs down or anything like that across the Chattahoochee Valley. But once again, if you're just now tuning in, we're tracking the storms as they push out of the coverage area, moving through Americus right now. That line of storms bending back down toward Dawson, toward the corner of Randolph County there. And this is where you start to run into more of that lightning, more of the thunder, and more of that energy that we often talk about to get storms going. Now, to get tornadoes going, you have to have two things. You got to have that energy in the atmosphere, but you also have to have those winds that are really strong up above our heads and winds that are really strong down here at the surface, moving in different directions, creating that spin. And we just haven't seen both of those things together today for most of us, which has been great news. These storms passing through with just a little bit of a whimper in most cases. Just some rain, and that's been it. Every now and then, again, rumbles of thunder down to the south. But the only part of our coverage area still under the threat for this is going to be that southeastern corner of Sumter County here. So that's going to be the main concern for the next little bit. Clay County, the southern extent there where we call the boot of Clay County right there, still in line for some stronger winds, some heavier rain, but that's the good news. That's about the only part of our coverage area still not under the risk, or excuse me, still under the risk of severe or damaging type weather. The large majority of us just getting rain as we speak. Now we're going to stay with this for a little bit longer, then we're going to be able to turn the stream back over. We'll leave the radar view up here for a little bit for you perhaps to show you what's going on, but that's the good news. The weather threat is winding down. But let's take a look at those warnings one more time. I want to look down to the south. There have been some new tornado warnings pop up down here, and we've had a couple of new confirmed tornadoes and several warnings down here. Again, this is a lot of warnings just south of Clay County, down into parts of southeast Alabama. So there's Dothan, those storms on the other side of Dothan, but those are confirmed tornadoes tracking east. So that means they are going to stay south of our coverage area. That's Randolph County right there, Terrell and Lee counties. That's an Albany concern. So those storms are going to stay just down to our south. But the southern extent of this line, as we discussed, looking a lot more potent, a lot more energy down here, and you get that combination, you get some tornado concerns. That's why the tornado watch has been in place down here. Let's pull the radar view up down here. I want to look down to the south, and we can get a view of some of those storms. Again, very active weather down here on the southern extent of that. that. And once again, there's your radar right there, having a tough time looking through all the rain. It may not look really impressive, but once again, little hooks and nicks here and there along the line where we're talking about that potential for tornado, that tornado threat. Let's pull the velocity view back up here, and maybe we can investigate that a bit more for you too. So little spots there along the line. There's one right there. And there's probably another one back down here, hard to pick out, but you see the green and the red really close to one another. Green, the wind's blowing toward the radar, the reds and the pinks there, the wind's blowing away from the radar, right near the town of Gordon there in southern Houston County, Alabama. So that's where you have that tornado. And once again, a confirmed tornado, according to our friends at the National Weather Service, tracking off to the east. So areas from Blakely and points to the south, you got friends or family down there. They definitely need to be alert to what's going on when it comes to the tornado risks, but thankfully close to home, that threat is just about over for just about everybody out across the Chattahoochee Valley. Let's pull the watches back up for you. We'll show you those, get you that big picture perspective here. All the counties in our area cleared from the tornado watch except for Quitman and Clay and Randolph and Sly and Sumter. But again, the threat is over down here. The Weather Service in Tallahassee will clear those counties out here pretty soon. Everybody else, the severe weather concerns over for the rest of tonight. So we're not talking about severe type weather. Our attention now turns to the cold, as Ashlyn has been telling you about. So the colder temperatures that move in after all this rain moves on out. And we've had some pretty cold temperatures today anyway for a lot of us, but the storms, they moved in, tried to bring some of that warm air with it. In most cases, they did not succeed. The cold air now about to take back over. And by the way, we should be getting an update really soon on the Muskogee County School District. We're going to bring that to you when we do, in terms of the school district making some decisions around here. So just want to make sure that we're aware of that. Let me actually, we've updated our closing list. We have that, by the way, WTVM.com. If you go there, you can see closings and delays right there at the top. So if you're curious out there about your school or your system or your business or whatever, anything that we know about delays, cancellations, that sort of thing, we've got there for you right now at WTVM.com. So make sure you check out the list there. Make sure you check out that. So that's, once again, at the website right now. So any sort of questions that you have about delays, please follow us over there for more information on that. All right, I'm going to pull the Facebook stream back up here for you. We'll see if anybody else has any questions out there. And this is a great thing that we can do here on the stream, is we can interact with you and see what you want to know about, see what you're concerned about as we see these storms out of the area. And once again, the great news is that these things are moving on out pretty quickly as we speak. So let's pull that back up here for you. Let's see. Will Tuesday be cold? Yes, it will. And look, on Tuesday morning, we think temperatures are going to be at their coldest. So that's when we should be down in the teens as we start off Tuesday morning. So we certainly want you to bundle up when you're getting out the door, heading to school, heading to work. It's going to feel colder. That breeze will likely make it feel like the lower teens or even the single digits around here. And that's also that time where we want to protect those pipes, as Ashlyn has been telling you about. Early Tuesday morning, one of those days where we certainly want to have the water dripping in our home the night before, the cabinet doors under the sinks opened up, letting that warm air circulate around. And look, this is a place where I've already taken the outside wrappings off of my faucets from the last time that we had bad weather. I had to use the outside faucets, but now got to make sure they're wrapped back up again as we approach this really cold snap. Thundering and hard rain here in Drainville. So that's in Marion County. So that was when the storms came through a little earlier. Again, just a little thunder, just a little rain. That's been it for about 99% of us today. What about this tornado? Yeah, not any tornadoes around here, that's for sure. That's all down to the south of us, just south of our coverage area. What about Ellaville? Those storms coming through or already came through a little bit ago. Will the roads freeze in Harris County or Columbus tomorrow? Again, we've tried to get that point out there too. It's not going to be a widespread thing. The wind will help to dry up some of the roads later tonight as the rain starts to taper off, but there may be some trouble spots. Bridges, overpasses especially. I think the good news is it has been warm lately. Everything has been above freezing lately. So it will take a little bit longer when we get to freezing or below for things to form some patchy ice. But it's going to be very difficult for us to predict road temperatures for you along every road in the Chattahoochee Valley. So that's why we're saying right now the blanket statement, there is a possibility of some black ice. There is a possibility of some of those slick spots, especially bridges and overpasses, but we don't think it's a widespread type thing. Lucy Parsons asking about Randolph County. I believe if you're asking about Randolph County, Georgia, still some stormy weather to come through, but it's just about out of there. And if you're asking about Randolph County, Alabama, the threat, of course, they're way over. Tornado warnings are in and around the Dothan area. Yeah, we were showing you that. Is Chambers County in a tornado warning? No watch or warning up for Chambers County, so you're good there. The warnings today down to the south, as we talked about, Dothan area and down to the Florida Panhandle, where we're looking at most of those tornado warnings today. Let's see. Have we heard school closings, openings from Muskogee County? I believe we might have. Let me see if that is in yet. I'll pull this up here for you guys. Once again, WTVM.com. If you go to the website there, you're going to have the delays, closings, all available for you right there. It's even a searchable list too, so may not be as big of a deal now. There's not as many, but on a day where we have a bunch of those, you can go and search that list on there for you. So that once again is going to be updated on the website on WTVM.com. By the way, 3:25 p.m. Eastern Time right now. So at 6 p.m. Eastern Time, back on the television side of things, we're going to have a rundown of today's weather. We'll let you know what's going on up across parts of North Georgia, Northeast Georgia, where the ice storm is just beginning in some cases. Things are getting colder, roads are getting worse. Already seeing pictures coming in on social media of ice accumulating on the trees, coating some of the trees, and we think that's going to lead to some big power outage and travel concerns up in North Georgia as we head through the next couple of days even. Ashton, I tell you what, let's pull up the satellite and radar view here and we'll get the big picture and show people what's going on up there. Yeah, this is some freezing rain that's starting just to the east of the Atlanta metro area, and really parts of the Atlanta metro area probably dipping below freezing too. The radar can't do the best job of picking up exactly where all that's going on at the same time, but I would say parts of the metro area likely seeing some freezing rain. You're seeing some sleet mixed in with some of this too, but definitely Athens, Gainesville, anywhere up Interstate 85 toward Greenville, South Carolina, major winter weather concerns right now, a major ice storm in progress. And that's already been the case back out to the west of us, where we've had some issues in Mississippi and southern Tennessee when it came to accumulating ice. Thankfully, most of those concerns escaping North Alabama. They had some wintry weather passing through yesterday and into early this morning, but the bigger concern now is Northeast Georgia, north and east of Atlanta, north of I-20. That's where you're going to have big problems with ice, with falling trees, with power outages, and that sort of thing. So that's what we're going to watch for you carefully up in that part of Georgia. So make sure you're on alert if you've got friends or family up here. If you have travel plans, some people, again, work in the Atlanta area. You've got to check road conditions tomorrow before you head up that way. We definitely want you, if you're driving north, just to know that you're going to want to stay alert to different things going on, because we think there could be some concerns for sure up in Northeast Georgia as we get through tomorrow. And even on the way up there, there could be that patchy black ice concern to tell you about if the wind can't evaporate all of that water off of the roads. We hope that most of it gets evaporated, but we still want you to make sure that you're aware, just in case, that there could be some spots here and there that has that concern early tomorrow morning if you have travel plans that take you up to the north. Again, I'm just trying to look at a few other things too here on the phone, trying to do two screens here at the same time, making sure everybody's aware of what's going on. But as of right now, the news around here is very good. The severe weather concerns are low. Looks like we just got an update from the Georgia Department of Transportation. They say crews continue to monitor and treat roadways. That's up north. Again, we can't treat all the roads around here, and we certainly couldn't put anything down on the roads when it's a rainstorm coming through, which is what we're dealing with at the moment. But that's what we're talking about at the moment. So good news there. All right, I'll tell you what, let's look back at our severe weather situation and let's see what's going on down here to the south of us, because we still have some watches, we still have some warnings to tell you about, but there's the line of storms coming on through, and there's your current watches. So right now the rain looking like this, so we are tracking that through our southern counties. There's Americus. Just south of America, still some stormy weather. That's Highway 280 as it runs out of Sumter County, crosses over Lake Blackshear, and then out toward Cordele. So Flint, DeSoto, Cobb, those are some communities out ahead of this. That's the line of storms passing on through. It's just about cleared southern Randolph County too. So southern Randolph County, still a little bit of stormy weather left to go. That's pushing on here through pretty quickly. So I got to tell you, I think in about maybe 5 minutes or so, we can probably end our stream. We'll pull up the information for you. We'll pull up the radar view for you for a little while longer and just keep it going. But the threat is winding down for most of the Chattahoochee Valley as anticipated today. We told you between about noon and 5 several days ago that's when the stormy weather was going to come on through. That seems to be the case for now in terms of the worst of it moving on as we speak. So right now, Sumter County is really the only part of our coverage area still left under that threat for some strong to severe storms. Ashlyn, I'll tell you what, we should have storm reports in that palette. I want to pull that up too. Maybe we can click on that and want to show folks out there any of the reports that we have. We'll zoom this out for you. I think we've got some over in the Montgomery area. You see this right here. Those are some wind damage reports showing up there from a little bit earlier when that line came through. It was a bit more intense out here. So each icon that you see actually a report of some wind damage in and around Montgomery up toward Wetumpka. But that's just about it as of now. Now, if we expand that view out and look south, we'll probably find that we had some more wind damage reports here. Yeah, and I think we might even be noticing more east of Dothan, those areas that are under tornado warnings as we speak. So escaping today without any major concerns here, always great news. But this is what we were concerned about, little pockets here and there where you get those winds strong enough to knock down some trees, knock down some power lines, and cause some concerns or cause some issues. But thankfully, so far, so good here in the Chattahoochee Valley. Now look, if you have damage, if you had a tree come down or something like that, we want to know about that too. This sort of stuff can really help the warning process when we can pass that information along to the National Weather Service and they can see, okay, look, we had storms that knocked down trees here with these kind of weather conditions. So the next time that we have some sort of bad weather come through, maybe they can create a better warning process for you. So any sort of damage we'd love to hear about for sure. What you see up here, those aren't storm concerns, but you see ice. That's for freezing rain conditions. Once again, in and around Atlanta and points off to the north from there. And the map gets real messy the further north that you go. Heavy snow and sleet and freezing rain reports across a large part of the country. And that is a story that we are going to be talking about for several days, the kinds of impacts that this winter weather system left behind. And in our local neck of the woods up here in northeast Georgia, it's just really getting cranked up, and they've got several more hours of freezing rain that they're going to have to get through as we get through the rest of tonight, and that's going to create those big issues we talked about there north of I-20 and mostly east of Interstate 75 over in the Peach State. So problems that we'll talk about for a while. Remember, Weather Extra every day next week at 6:30 right here on the stream, whether you watch it on Roku, Amazon Fire, Apple TV. You can catch that over on the app too. A great show for you if you like weather, you need a little extra info about what's going on. We take you behind the scenes. We really can, again, give you some more weather related information focused solely on weather, an entire 30-minute show. And we're going to be talking a lot about this, a lot about the winter storm. We'll grade our forecast, see how we did around here. We'll look at some of the impacts, some of the amounts of ice, of snow, and some of what this system left behind. Again, getting some incredible images over on social media of the ice already accumulated on trees and power lines and things like that. So we'll show you that a lot more tomorrow. And again, over on the television side, hopefully tonight starting at 6 p.m. Eastern time, we'll get some more info for you over there, 6 and 11 tonight on WTVM over on the regular television side. You can check out more information there. But so far tonight, the news is good. Tell you what, let's take one more look at watches, one more look at warnings, then we'll leave you with the radar. So watches first, and again, tornado watches still in place for Sly, Sumter, Clay, Quitman, Randolph, Terrell, Lee, and Doherty counties, but we believe the tornado threat is pretty much over for all of our coverage area, all of the WTVM coverage area. You move just down to the south, they've still got some problems. Current warnings, there is a flood advisory still in place for Barber County. There is a severe thunderstorm warning that's in place for Terrell and Lee and Doherty counties. It looks like the worst of it moving out of the southern corner of Randolph County there. You do see a few tornado warnings to our south. Those aren't heading up in this direction. They're pushing east. so that will not be moving into our neck of the woods anytime soon either. Now we'll pull the radar view up for you one more time. And this is what we're going to leave you with tonight on the stream. We'll leave this up for a little bit longer, but all quiet for most of the Chattahoochee Valley. That's the view out of Americus. We're not going to get a good shot there with all that rain close by, but here's the other big picture point of view for you. There's the extent of that line pushing on out as we speak. The rain is letting up a little bit across other parts of the Chattahoochee Valley, and the rain even ending places off here to the west of us, ending at times. You might still have some more rain push in, but that's the clearing line, so to speak, of those showers out here to the west of us. So a little more rain to get through tonight. We will hope once again that any concerns with black ice and things like that, we don't think we're going to have widespread concerns with that, but it's still something that we'll have our eye on by early tomorrow morning. Bridges and overpasses especially, typically the places that tend to see that first. But for a large majority of us, it's just going to be really, really cold here as we look ahead. And we'll be talking more about protecting your pipes and all that kind of stuff too with the cold weather that's on the way. But as far as the severe weather threat goes, that threat pretty much over now across the Chattahoochee Valley, and we hope you enjoyed again the stream. If you have other questions, chime in over on social media for us. We'll try to get to those. We'll be pushing more updates out on our WTVM weather app, a wonderful weather resource for you to stay ahead of the cold, to get updates on black ice concerns or anything like that. And we'll have more for you over on the television side of things tonight too. So what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to step off the screen, and guys, if we could just take Max 1 full, just leave it up, and we'll just leave the radar view up right here for you, and that will conclude our stream today. Again, thanks for watching. Meteorologist Derek and Kate here for you. Meteorologist Ashlyn Moore as well in the Storm Team 9 Alert Center.